Hi guys, I hope you're doing well, and this is our first live stream for IGCSE O Level Economics May June 2025 session. I hope you guys have been well. So basically, I'll run you through the format for the live stream. Basically, we're going to be doing it's a first session, so we're going to be doing basically running through the whole syllabus, what sort of questions usually come in IGCSE, what is expected by you for the upcoming attempt, and the paper pattern and the syllabus introduction. Right, this is the first live stream, and I plan to cover as much as I can for IGCSE and O levels on my YouTube channel for all those students who are appearing for IGCSE O levels in May June 2026. We are going to be starting from the very scratch. I request all those students who are watching me right now and who will watch me later on, to share the live streams with your friends, your colleagues, your peers in different groups, so that the more people can have access to it, the more people are aware that there's a live streams going on for IGCSE and O level. So hope we all have a fantastic time. Since this is the first live stream, the objective is to run you through the whole syllabus for the upcoming May June 26 exams and tell you the paper pattern. You must be knowing as an IGCSE O level economics student what is basically the whole syllabus that you will be covering this year. And basically we'll be starting from the very scratch. Guys, see, first of all, as far as whether you are giving an IGCSE exam or you're giving O levels, the syllabus is the same. The syllabus is the same and the paper is exactly the same as well. So the IGCSE code is for economics is 0455. For O levels it is 2281, but the paper is exactly the same 100%. The syllabus is the same and the paper is also conducted on the same day. So these live streams are applicable for both O levels and IGCSE students. Okay guys, so we're going to be using this syllabus for the upcoming May June 2026 exams, and you have two papers in IGCSE or O levels, and first we'll go through that. And so as far as your papers are concerned, basically I'll tell you what the aim of the syllabus and everything is, and some basic content overview. But so basically you have two papers. Firstly, you have paper 1, that is MCQs. This is the MCQ paper, comprises of 30% of your paper, right? So you will be given 30 MCQs, 30 marks, 1 mark for each MCQ, and 45 minutes you will be given to complete it. Then you have paper 2, which is structured questions. This comprises of basically two things. Your paper 2 comprises of case study question, right, which is your section A. Section A is of 30 marks, right? And then you have section B. Section B is essay questions, right? Section B is just a second. Section B is basically essay questions, and you basically, what you need to do is that you will be given 6 questions, and out of those you have to attempt 3, right guys? So this is basically your as far as your syllabus is concerned for paper 2. So you need to attempt 3 questions, and apart from that, guys, each question that you will be doing is basically of 20 marks, right? So each question is of 20 marks, and this will be divided into 4 parts. That is part A, B, C, and D. So you need to attempt 3 questions, and 3 questions multiply by 20, which means 60 marks is your paper section B. So your section B is of 60 marks, which means that you need to attempt 3 questions, right? And when you will be attempting these 3 questions, so that makes it how many marks? That makes it 60 marks. So 60 marks. So section A is for 30 marks. Section B would be of 60 marks. Together, total the paper is of 90 marks. Right guys, that is your breakdown for the paper. You must be knowing that because this is the paper that you will be attempting. right? So you basically have a total of so out of these out of these 5 questions, you need to attempt these 3 questions. My bad. Out of these 5 questions, you need to attempt these 3 questions, and 5 questions basically in total. These are basically in total. So, which means that so basically you in total your paper 2 comprises of 5 questions, right? So section B comprises of 4 questions and you need to attempt 3, and then you have section A, which is your case study, which is 1. So together 4 questions plus 1 question from the case study means 5 questions. But what I'm saying is that out of 4 you need to attempt 3 questions in your section. You need to attempt 3 questions in your section B. Is it clear, guys? Okay, make sure that you're sharing this live stream with all your friends so that more and more people can join, and they're also aware that yes, you will be doing IGCSE live streams with me every weekend. So out of 4 questions, you will be attempting 3 questions, and each question are 20 marks, or 60 marks for paper 2, section B, and 30 marks for section A case study. Now, obviously, in due time, I'll be teaching you all of this, how to attempt these questions. But one thing I want to tell you is that in section B, each question is of 20 marks. So each question is basically divided into 4 parts. So every question is divided into 4 parts. That is part A, B, C, and D. Part A is a definition question. So it will always be a defined question. Part B would be an explain question. Part C would be an analyze question. We don't have any A2 streams at the moment. We have O levels and IGCSE streams at the moment. I'll see if I want to do an A2 stream or not, but we don't really have an A2 stream lined up as of now. Part D would be a discuss question. So define, explain, analyze, and discuss, right? Define, explain, analyze, and discuss. But in due time, if there is something, Maria, I'll let you know. My Instagram would be up we'll post about it, right? Right now already the A2 classes are in so much full swing that I'm so much occupied in that thing in my own A2 classes. So we haven't really figured out the A2 streams at the moment. So define, explain, analyze, discuss. So remember that every question in your IGCSE O-level exam would be a define question, explain question, analyze, discuss. So you as an IGCSE O-level student must not only know the topic, but you also must know that how to attempt a define question, how to explain question, how to attempt analyze question, how to attempt discuss question for an IGCSE or an O-level student, because every question has to be done differently. And every question requires a certain length. It has to have a certain number of points. It has to start a certain way, end a certain way. So you as a student of IGCSE, you want to get those best top marks, and you must be knowing all of this stuff as well. And as far as your case study is concerned, I'll also teach you how to attempt the case study, but you must know the format. So it's paper 1, 30 marks. Paper 2 is basically 90 marks. Section A is 30 marks. Section B is 60 marks. Out of 4 questions, you need to attempt 3. Each question has 4 parts, A, B, C, D, and together your paper 2 has 4 questions. That is one case study and the other 4 questions from section B. Got it, guys? Now before I move on to the syllabus and I tell you what the syllabus has, you must understand, you must be very much familiar with the assessment objectives. And the assessment objectives are the objectives through which, or the guidelines through which, answer writing has to be done, right? So in IGCSE, you have certain assessment objectives that you need to know. There are 3 assessment objectives. Remember this, and I want you to start in the first class. I want you to be very clear on the assessment objectives. The next time, whenever we are conducting a live stream and whenever I talk, say, AO1, you must automatically understand what AO1 means, knowledge and understanding. And I'll tell you in due time what all of this means. But you must be aware that these assessment objectives are the basis through which answer writing is done. But right now is not the time for you to explain what assessment objectives are, because this can only be explained once we are doing the past papers. Otherwise, these cannot be explained right. There's no point explaining what assessment objectives are right now, unless and until we've started with past papers. We can only start with past papers once we're done with, 1-2 topics. Over there, I will explain it. But answer writing would be done in accordance with these assessment objectives. That is knowledge and understanding. Assessment objective 2, refers to analysis, and assessment objective 3 refers to evaluation, right? Then what you must be aware of is that before the syllabus starts, is one thing that is mentioned in the IGCSE syllabus, which I haven't really seen in the A2 syllabus, is the fact that the IGCSE syllabus also talks a lot about, and the O-level syllabus it wants you to focus on, it's already understood as far as A-levels is concerned, but it wants you to focus a lot on, as well as on the practicality and the application of what you're studying. So as far as O-levels or IGCSE is concerned, it would want you to focus on, for example, if you're a student from Pakistan or in any country, whether you're from Bangladesh, India, UAE, wherever you're from, they also want you to focus on things that are happening around the world, right? And the subjects and the syllabus specifically mentions that in this syllabus, teachers and students are encouraged to focus learning of the following subject content around real, relevant, and up-to-date economic events. Like whatever is happening around you, you should be aware of it. On the whole world and your own countries, right? So this is something that you must be knowing. So guys, as far as your syllabus is concerned, you must be knowing what chapters are there in the syllabus, how much time will it take to finish the syllabus, and you must also be knowing that what is it that you must be studying throughout the course. Now, just give me a second. So as far as your syllabus is concerned, you must be knowing about the basic economic problem. And when we talk about the basic economic problem, because they ask you in definitions, you must be knowing the difference between economic goods and free goods as far as the definitions are concerned. You must be knowing about what factors of production are. You must be knowing about mobility, because they actually give you the factors that affect mobility in a 4-mark question. Right? You must be knowing what opportunity cost is and how opportunity cost could influence decision making. That is, how are decisions influenced by when we make decisions, whether we are making it, whether consumers are making these decisions, workers, producers, the government. How do you allocate resources? You must be knowing what resource allocation actually means. You must also know what PPC is, production possibility curve, in every attempt, and in May June 26 attempt as well. A question on PPC will come in your paper, by the way. So you must be knowing what PPC is. You must know how to draw the PPC. You must know what points inside the curve, on the curve, outside the curve means. When does a PPC shift? What's the difference between a shift in PPC and a movement along the PPC? You must know the difference between micro and macroeconomics, but this is just knowledge. The question doesn't really comes on it as such. The role of the markets in allocating resources is important, because this is where you study economic systems. This is where you study that, the economic systems, you'll study what sort of economic system Pakistan has, what sort of an economic system USA has, how are resources allocated. You'll study about the price mechanism. You will study how resource allocation works. You'll study about equilibrium, disequilibrium, and then, a 4 or 6 mark question also comes on 2.2. That is, at times they give you an 8 mark question as well, that whether free markets are always efficient or not. Then you study an important topic, that is demand and supply. Students find it confusing, but this is a very important topic. This is the backbone of economics, by the way. This is the backbone of economics, demand and supply. And a question on demand and supply always comes in the exam. So you will study about what demand is, how to draw the demand curve, why does the demand curve shifts, what causes the shifts in demand, what is demand. You'll study what is supply, what is a movement along the supply curve, what is a shift in supply curve, what is individual supply versus market supply. Then you'll bring demand and supply together. First, you'll study about demand and supply in isolation, then you'll bring it together, and you'll study about market equilibrium. You'll study what are equilibrium and how does markets achieve equilibrium on its own, the self-adjusting mechanism about Adam Smith and all of that. These things are very interesting. I personally love this topic. Then you'll study about market disequilibrium, about shortages and surpluses. Then you'll study what causes prices to change. So here you learn that why the prices go up, why the prices go down, because of changes in demand and supply, and how does this really works, right? This is again an interesting topic, and a 6-mark question, an analyzed question always comes on from this topic. So we'll practice this a lot. And this question, this sort of analyzed question from price thing, the changes in prices will also come in your May June 26 attempt. Again, a PD question usually comes in 6-marker. Usually, nahi balki this always comes as a 6-marker. So you see most of the things you have 4 questions, and every question comes from a different topic. So usually they cover at least 80% of the syllabus, and the remaining 20% they make sure to sort of fit it in the case study. So you have PED, you'll study about elasticity, you'll study that why some firms who increase prices, people still buy them. You'll study about how consumers respond to price changes. You'll study about some calculations. You'll study that what determines elasticity and why is elasticity so much significant to firms and consumers and even the government. Again, a 6-marker comes on this question as well. You study about PES. You'll study about the definition of PES, the calculation of PES. You'll study about what determines PES and why is PES so important for consumers, producers, and the government, right? Then economic systems, we'll cover it over in the price mechanism chapter. Then you have market failure. You'll study that all markets are efficient. You'll study that free markets probably are not efficient, as they're not as efficient as we think them to be, or as what Adam Smith claimed. Adam Smith, by the way, was the father of economics. You'll learn a lot about him during the course. So market failure, this is again an important topic. A question comes on this topic. In fact, it has also come, I think, in your May June 25 exam as well. You study the definition of market failure, the causes of market failure, how market failure causes a misallocation and all of that. Then you'll study about a mixed economic system. For example, almost all economies are mixed economies. A question comes that why all economies are mixed economies. And you study about government intervention here, how governments could intervene in correcting market failures. Again, a very interesting topic. Then you'll study about money and banking. You'll study the entire banking system, not in that much detail, but yes. You'll study about money. You again will study about this topic, households. The question always comes from here, usually in a 4-marker, about what influences spending, saving, borrowing. You'll study about the chapter labor market. This is workers, is basically labor market. You'll study the demand and supply of labor. You'll study that why some people are paid more while others are paid less. Why there is a difference between the earnings of the primary sector versus the tertiary or the secondary sector. Why is there a gender pay gap between men and women? You also study over here as well. You study about an interesting topic, trade union. That is, trade unions were formed during the Industrial Revolution and to protect the sort of wages and the working conditions of the laborers. You study about the advantages and disadvantages of trade unions. You study this topic, 3.5 firms, always comes in every paper. Every paper, one question comes from here. 6-marker, usually an 8-marker. Always it will come. So this is again the classification of firms. How are some firms classified? Some firms are primary sector firms, tertiary and secondary sector firms. You learn about that. You learn about the size of the firms, what determines the size of the firm. If I want to see that whether maybe Google is a large firm or a small firm, what are the parameters that I will need to check on to judge whether that firm is a small or a large firm. You'll study about the classification. You'll study about why some firms are small firms. For example, if I show you the paper, I think a question also came about in the exam regarding the size of the firms. I can't see it in at the moment. I cannot. Again, the question has come from household spending. It has come from workers. I think it didn't really come in. It did come. Question 2, part A. So by the way, the part A could also be an identify question. So it's not necessarily define. It could be identify. It could be state as well. So it could be state, identify, or define. Mostly it is define, but it could be identify, state, or define, both, right? Moving forward, you'll be studying about small firms. You'll be studying about why some firms are small firms. You'll be studying about the comparison between small and large firms. You'll be studying about why are small firms able to survive against large firms. This is a very important topic. You'll be studying about economies of scale, again important. comes in the exam. You study about productivity, production, the difference between them, and about why some firms are labor capital intensive. You will study about this topic. Usually comes in MCQs, but again, this will involve some calculations about what are the different sort of costs, what are direct variable costs, what are fixed costs, and all of these things with some diagrams as well. You study about different objectives of firms. That some firms have profit maximizing as an objective, some have sales maximization, some have survival as an objective. All of that you study about. You will be studying about market structures. How are some markets classified in different based on what sort of products they sell, whether they are differentiated or homogeneous, or whether some firms are monopoly firms, some are competitive firms, and etc. All of that you'll study about monopolies and how whether they're good or bad. A question comes on that as well. Then this will finish microeconomics. So microeconomics will finish on 3.8, and then macroeconomics will start. Now, so macroeconomics is again a very core component in your exams, and macroeconomics is when economics gets really, really interesting. It's when you study about things like growth. You'll study about economic growth. You'll study about inflation. You'll study why prices are rising, why prices are falling. You'll study about conflicts between these objectives. You'll study about the government's different policies like fiscal policy. You'll study about taxes and all of that. Why government spends and how government spends, and why government increases or decreases taxes. And you'll study about how governments could use these fiscal policy to control inflation or economic growth or unemployment. Then you'll study about the monetary policy. Here you learn how governments use the money supply and interest rates to regulate the economy. How does it uses the interest rate and the money supply tool to achieve different objectives of growth, balance, in order to stimulate economic growth and reduce inflation, let's say. You'll study about supply side policies as well. This is again interesting. You'll learn about economic growth as a chapter. What is exactly the definition of economic growth? What is GDP? What sort of diagrams you need to draw? You'll learn about the recession. For example, COVID-19 pandemic was a recession as well. You'll learn about different recessions in the past that have come. All that is not part of the syllabus, but I'll teach you in order to make it interesting. You learn about the consequences of growth, whether they are beneficial or not. What are the policies that we need to use to promote growth? A question comes on this as well. You learn about the chapter of employment. You learn what employment is. You learn what unemployment is. You learn how unemployment is measured, what causes unemployment, different types of unemployment, the consequences of unemployment, and even what policies the government should do in order to reduce unemployment. You learn about inflation, deflation as a chapter. Why are prices rising? Why are prices falling? What are the consequences of rising and falling prices? And what policies the government should adopt in order to reduce inflation? Chapter 5 is a very important chapter. This is mostly coming in case studies now, right? These days, this is coming in case study section A. Very important chapter. The entire section 5 majority is coming from this section. Okay? So this is very important. You learn about living standards. You learn about, what is HDI. You learn about real GDP. How do countries measure living standards? Why do we say that some economies are large economies, but then they have poor living standards? They have a lot of income inequality and stuff like that. How are incomes distributed in those countries and all? You learn about poverty. You learn about what you'll even learn that poverty is even classified into absolute and relative poverty. You'll learn that what are the policies the government should take or the state should take in order to alleviate or reduce poverty and redistribute incomes more equally. Again, this is all very interesting stuff. You learn about a chapter of population. Some of it you also have studied in grade 10 geography as well. You learn about what factors influences birth, death rate, what is emigration, how that influences, why do countries differ in size and population, and all of that. You learn about economic development. You learn the difference between growth and development. Not all growth is development. You learn about that, which is very good. You learn about international trade. You learn why do countries trade internationally with each other. You learn about a lot of things. For example, like we know that once Trump came in, Donald Trump in the US, and recently he got re-elected, so he's been imposing tariffs on a lot of countries. So you'll study all of this in this chapter as well, that what are the impacts of imposing tariff on countries and how global trade works, right? You learn about multinational companies. You learn about trade protection. Why do firms impose tariffs to protect the domestic economy and domestic firms? Again, you learn about foreign exchange rates. You learn how does exchange rate system work. You learn about why is, for example, let's say I live in Pakistan, so a dollar is, for example, rupee is quite undervalued against the dollar. The value, it's very weak against the dollar, simply. because I need to sell 280 rupees to just 278 rupees to get a dollar maybe, right? So that's right. It means that rupee is weak and dollar is quite strong. So you learn all these things, and how does this changes? You learn about the current account. For example, Pakistan usually has been witnessing a current account deficit. Recently, it has a surplus though for various reasons. We'll discuss that later on. But again, this is again interesting. Why has Pakistan been suffering from consistent current accounts deficits and all of that? You learn about exports and imports and how could that impact the current account of the balance of payment and all of that. So this is again very good stuff. It's economics. So economics is very practical. It's happening all around you. It's happening. Economics is how the world works. The world needs to study economics. Honestly, even if you are studying in any field, you will be studying courses of economics at any point in your life, because you need to study economics. You need to know the basic economic, how the economy functions, right? It is a very demanding subject. It is a highly demanding subject, and I'll make sure that through these live streams I cover as much as possible, and I also make sure I make it very interesting as well. The live streams are scheduled every Saturday. Today was scheduled at 6 p.m, but we'll see that next Saturday what time should we schedule the stream. We'll let you know in advance. Follow me on my Instagram, Adil Usman Zubairi. Also subscribe on this channel if you haven't already. Do subscribe. Share the live stream with your friends. Let everyone know that we're doing these streams every Saturday. The timings will be posted on my Instagram stream, so make sure that you let everyone know, because these streams will help you. Not only will I be teaching the syllabus, I'll also be covering the past papers on these streams. So that's all, guys, for now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And so we sort of did a whole syllabus run through, which was important because a lot of students are studying economics in grade 11 at the moment, and they're just doing what is being done in class, but they're not really aware of the entire syllabus. So the entire syllabus has to be, because you must be knowing, okay, at times what happens is that maybe you skip a topic, maybe your teacher forgets to cover a topic, oversight bhi ho jati hai. At times, out of not out of an intention, but just there's an oversight. A small subtopic was skipped, but again, the students come and they say, oh, you know what, sir, I think you should, we skipped this topic, or we've missed this topic, maybe you should revise it again. So the syllabus is a guideline. It helps you to understand what has to be covered throughout your economics journey. So that is something very important. Okay, guys, so that's it from now from my side. Today's live stream was short. It was meant to run you through the syllabus and tell you the paper pattern. From the next live stream, we'll be starting with our first chapter. That is we'll start off with the first chapter. That is, we'll be covering all the basic stuff in the next live stream, but we'll be covering basic stuff in a way that has to be covered in grade 11 from the perspective of answer writing. Initially, when you guys were in grade 9, some schools started economics in grade 9, some started in grade 10. You were studying economics from the perspective that you were studying it to understand what economics is. But now, in my live streams, it's not just going to be understanding and knowledge, but it's going to be attempting it in the paper, because now you are an appearing student for economics. So it has to be taught from that perspective, from that angle. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And I am looking forward to seeing more and many of you in my next live stream. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all. Allah Hafiz.